Good evening, classmates. I want to share 5 coaching skills that I think are necessary for being an effective coach. First, like many of you, I believe that active listening is very important. When people feel as though you're engaged in what they are saying, they can tell you're engaged because you are making eye contact, you are smiling and nodding, maybe even you're leaning in. I'm guilty, I know, of doing this, you know. Um, People can typically tell you are listening. You are listening not to respond necessarily, but you're listening to learn what their story is, what their challenges may be, whatever it is they want to impart to you. You are actively listening. You're building, because you're actively listening, you're building trust. They're more likely to confide in you and share their stories or their information with you. You're building connectedness. People who are connected with you are more likely to communicate with you. That's just basic and simple. You're able to probe better, ask open-ended questions. You're able to show empathy. You're able to even share similar stories. Sometimes sharing a story with the client helps them to open up even further and tell more of their story. So you're only able to do that when you have listened fully to a person, when you have engaged yourself fully into a person's story, into their information and whatever it is, or whatever it is that they're sharing. The second coaching skill that I believe is needed for to be an effective coach is being able to set goals. When you lots of times, even me, I'm guilty of this, have been guilty of this, and this class has helped me to really hone my goal setting skills. Sometimes we set these vague goals. Sometimes they're too lofty and they're just huge, and we want to bite off everything. But we have to learn to make them smart. We have to learn to make our goals smart, to make them specific, to make sure that they're measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So, just for instance, as a school counselor, my SMART goal for the year is to, by the end of 2021, all ninth grade students will have completed their multi-year academic plan that includes at least one science class, 2 fine arts classes, and a CTE course. In that, it was specific. We're talking about ninth grade students. It was measurable by the end of all meaning 163. So maybe I should have said 163. But you get what I'm saying. Goals should be measurable, and we should help clients set those goals that are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Okay. The third thing that I think is important, the third set of coaching skills that I think are important, are those skills of questioning, powerful questioning. I think that asking the right questions at the right times helps a client to move to their next level. Often they get stuck in their heads, and as a coach, it is on us, the onus is on us To be sure we are asking the questions that get at the heart of where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do. Asking those kinds of questions that probe, that dig deeper into what it is they're saying, what it is they're trying to do, even asking those questions that challenge, asking those questions that push buttons, asking questions that will maybe intrude on some of those self-limiting thoughts and behaviors that clients have established, pushing through those and even looking at root causes, that whole neuro-linguistic programming. All of the questions involved in working through those aspects are important. The fourth coaching skill that I think is important is knowing yourself. Now, that may not seem like a coaching skill, but I always ask, as a counselor, as a school counselor, I always ask, who's the counselor's counselor? You have to know yourself well enough to be comfortable, one, asking clients some of those questions that we have to ask in order to get to the next level. You have to be able to be comfortable with silence, and in that silence not feel like you have to fill it or you have to do something, say something in order to make the moment right. You have to be comfortable enough with all of those spaces and all of those conversations. And the only way to be comfortable with them is to know you and to know how you move. I could say a lot about knowing yourself, and the only way you can know yourself is to be able to dig into your own stuff and take a look at yourself and have someone that you go to. That's why I said, who's the counselor's counselor? Who's the coach's coach? Be able to go to someone to talk through those kinds of things to help you dig through your stuff and figure yourself out. The fifth thing that I think is important to being an effective coach is believing that every person that you come in contact with has their own answers. You are not the expert on anyone's life. Sometimes you're not even an expert on your own life, but you gotta know yourself. We won't go back there. But understanding that every person that comes before you has all of their answers. It's in there somewhere. It's your responsibility or my responsibility as a coach to pull it out of them, to ask those important questions, to set those goals, to listen so that I can help them pull out whatever it is they need to pull out in order to get to their next level. Those are the coaching skills that I believe are needed to be an effective coach.